Content. Okay. Edit. Paste into there. Save. Okay. Education. And current view is 1. Okay. So I don't know if there's anybody else in here right now. I'm monitoring the comments, so if there is actually somebody watching, then just drop a comment in there and we'll see what's going on. So we're watching, most importantly for me, I'm watching the phantom price right now. So we're literally pushing up against the most recent high that we've had. Now the reason this is important for me is because I'm heavily invested in the phantom DeFi project, Tomb Finance. So it's going to make me a lot of money if this continues, which yeah it is. Go into the shorter time frame chart, you can see we've just pushed through the resistance that's around this area here, and we're attempting to create a newer higher high. Quite a few people have just started trying to push that back again. It's quite, I likened this to watching a football match. If you sat here and you're cheering for your team, my team right now is Phantom, and all I want to see is green bars. So the reason for it, I mean, we're getting some positive pressure on the Bitcoin chart as well. So we've got some really nice cycles that have formed here. We've supported off of the yellow and the blue, which are the 100 and the 50 EMAs on the 4-hour time frame. This is potentially then going to hit off of this resistance area again around 51,200, which also coincides with the orange, which is the 200 moving average, which is currently at around 51,250. So we don't particularly want to bump into that again, and I suppose sort of if you was to put a trend line in there, where are we? Off of those, we're actually supporting rather than resisting based off of this. It depends where you want to draw your trend line really. Now if you took it from somewhere over, yeah, I mean, I don't see any relevant trend line in that area currently, so it's kind of pointless to reference that right now. Really from Bitcoin's perspective, what we're interested in is it just breaking this horizontal line, which is around about there, is the resistance that we're bumping off of. Doesn't seem to have any obvious interactions in the past that have created this strong area, other than the 200 moving average, which is where we're definitely interacting with right now. Now going on to the daily time frame, I can't really see anything obvious on there as to why we're bumping off of that. I mean, you can see Luna's making new all-time highs. Phantoms just on, what we on a minute chart? We're not going to be on a minute chart. Quite far away from the 20 EMA on the on the 1 minute chart, on the 1 hour chart, which is brilliant. Just means that we're, you know, look at the lines, look at the order that the lines are in. They've got good separation, angle, and direction. So we're moving up, and we are going to push until we get to this $2.45 sort of area, and then we're going to really start to run into some more solid resistance from, you see, this area here, there. Yeah, so this was when I was looking at Phantom when it was up here, and excuse all the ridiculous lines that are all over the place because they're not really relevant anymore, but when it was coming down here, this green box here was drawn basically because that was the obvious area where we were going to come down, buy up in this area, and we did. We came down, we bought, we went up, we bought again, and then we just had this ridiculous period where Bitcoin went through some extreme pain. It's pushed it all the way down here. So anybody who bought in this area down here and managed to get $1.30, they've now managed to turn their $1.30 per coin into $2.38, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Oh Jesus, 6%. Why not? Yeah. Just replying to a message on WhatsApp. So yeah, so Phantom were really interested in breaking this area, this previous recent high where we were at. So you can see where we were interacting earlier. We was moving between $2.27 and $2.34 was the high that we've managed to create. And the yellow rings are where we'd previously established that as an area of interest where we were going to create support and resistance. So zooming back into that area now, we've now moved above, on the 1 hour chart, we've moved above that recent high. We managed to close the 1 hour candle, and now we're probably going to turn this support into this resistance into a support. The resistance will then watch that number one. Yeah, so the resistance will turn into a support. So then we're going to be moving between the $2.34 area and the $2.45 area. And then, like I say, we're gonna struggle once we get up to that sort of area there. So really, we're sort of looking now for Bitcoin to increase above this resistance line here, and when it manages to do that, what it's going to do is actually pull all of the other coins that are associated with it are going to move up with it. So if we're looking on here, there's a bit of red today, but they're all such small numbers. I mean, I wouldn't be worried about any of those. Really, what I'm interested in is what are the big gainers. Now, for 3 or 4 days in a row now, Phantom has been one of the top 5 gainers on my watch list. Look at that, Bitcoin's moving. So Bitcoin's pushing again on the 1 hour chart, remaining above the resistance line, the support line here. We just need to break this. I mean, that's, you can see on the 1 hour chart, look how much interaction there was all the way across there. So we've got quite a strong resistance on the 1 hourly chart in that area between here. You know, we may travel sideways between here while we accumulate a little bit more orders, and then potentially could move above it. Luna seems to have been defeated again at its attempt to push above. However, the low of the 1 hour candle is higher than the previous 2 candles, so it is still moving in the right direction. It still has momentum. Whether or not it's going to actually achieve a higher high or new all-time high is yet to be seen. We're currently forming a doji candle, which shows indecision based upon we're 30 minutes through, so you're not supposed to analyze the current candle. However, that's where it's at the moment. It's sat in between the two, but it's very small, so the buyers and the sellers are really fighting each other there. Phantom now has pulled back from its high, where it was trying to test $2.39. It was attempting to push through. It's pulling back down. It's moving in the direction of the support line. However, it hasn't pushed all the way down there yet. This candle has managed to actually push above the previous candle, so it's still moving in the correct direction. So what else do we have? So what's Rose doing? Rose very much similar to the previous analysis on the other coins. Now it's looking at on the daily chart. Yes, it's got some absolutely beautiful cycles. So we've got a high there, a low, a higher high, a higher low, a higher high, and then we're coming back up now. We're going to move up and we're going to attempt to test this area here where we created the most recent high on the daily chart. So it's moving in the right direction. All of the EMA lines are in the correct direction, order, magnitude, separation between them. That's brilliant. Kasama next. So that's a little bit more all over the place. If you had a support line in, yeah, I suppose it's doing okay, but it's below a lot of these moving averages. So on the daily time frame, what it needs to do is create some massive upward buying pressure, which it is doing, but then it's going to bump into quite a lot of these moving averages all at once. So you've got the blue and the orange. The blue is the 50, the orange is the 200, so they're pretty big moving averages to be bumping into that are really going to inhibit its ability unless it massively pushes through them, pulls the green 20-day moving average back up over the top of them, uses them all as support. Then we're going to be looking at moving back in the correct direction. But right now we've got a lower low, a lower high, and another lower low. So then, ignoring the Bitcoin pairs, and moving on towards Matic. Yeah, that one's absolutely beautiful. So you see this trend line in here. So we had a trend line there, we had a trend line there, we came up, we broke through the trend line, we came down, we retested, used all of the moving averages as a support, and then we've moved up and created we've created a new all-time high today. So amazing how this is happening when the rest of the market is really sort of struggling. Yeah, Bitcoin's not done too badly today. However, how far away is Bitcoin now from its all-time high? Absolutely ridiculous amount in percentage terms, where 35% Bitcoin needs to move to get to its all-time high. However, when you're looking at when you're looking at Matic's already there. It's moved through its all-time high. That's absolutely fantastic when Bitcoin is no longer the thing that's actually providing the momentum for these other coins. Theta, so don't particularly like the look of this one. However, if you were to draw in a horizontal line there, your risk really is looking at 28% downside potential for how low you could get before you get back. So I'd be waiting for it to move down to that sort of area before looking at doing anything. So it's had such a strong move to the upside, and then what it's doing here is it's consolidating It's finding a area where people are quite happy to keep placing orders and buying up nice and cheap. And it's probably a bit of whale games going on. You know, while Bitcoin is really struggling, and it's, oh, look at it, it's testing. It's really trying to go up to that line right now, and brilliant things are going to happen for everybody else if that does happen. Let me just, oh, I hate it when it does this. Let's get the dart thing back on so we don't blind everybody, and then let's get back to the actual watch list. So I just want to keep my eye on the Phantom chart. So yeah, Theta, in an ideal world, I'd probably be looking at dollar cost averaging and buying up around this sort of area here based off of these previous interactions, as that looks like a good area. And I mean, if you were going to buy in now, that's where you're going to put your stop losses, somewhere around underneath there. DOT, I mean, it's a similar story. It's had so much movement upwards that a big pullback was obviously on the cards. It was ready to happen, and it's in the process of happening. So while we wait for this pullback to happen, we've got to find out what happens next. You know, if this moves up, and it needs to break through all these moving averages and start using them as a support. Otherwise, we've got this area we've got drawn in here based off of these interactions over there and here. We've probably got another, we may have another area based off of some of these interactions around here, which is where we're actually sat at right now. So based off of, it's going to bump into 3 moving averages and a potential resistance area, then you're going to struggle getting much higher than where we're at right now. But it's had a nice ride. I mean, if you bought into that there, then in, what's that, a week? Let's see. Hey, what are you doing scrolling around? Right, so that is 5 days you have made a 30% profit. Look at that, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. If you took this trade. So secret. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, okay, that's a really nice drawing in a trend line. You're probably going to want to be buying that somewhere in this sort of region here. Up there, it's probably using the 200-day moving average. It's supported off of that. It's moved above all the rest of the moving averages. The directions are starting to move back into the correct direction. However, there is massive potential for this to reverse. So I wouldn't be buying that one right now. Uniswap. So we're not far off this support area, this low support area. So your potential risk there, again, it's 30%, so that's mirroring what we saw when we were looking at Theta, I think it was. So it's a difficult one to recommend again, because look, all the moving averages are in the wrong place. You know, you want to be buying coins when the moving averages look like that. That's perfect. And then when you look at the interactions, see, I suppose on the day chart, yeah, the moving averages were moving up. They've done their pullback. That is where we're looking for a reversal area. You know, around there, we've already had it. You can see the crosses in the moving averages. So when the moving averages cross over, that's negative, because the 20, that's the fast moving average, the green crossing the yellow is the 100. When we cross the 100, that's pretty bearish. If we'd have crossed the 200, that would have been really bearish. Oh wow, okay, yeah, so that's a screenshot from Tomb Finance. So that's my biggest pot. If you're looking at Tomb Finance, just go up here. Let's look at, so yeah, the T-share is $16,000. That right now is trying. Oh, it's done it. It's pushed above the resistance of this wick here, so we've already moved above this now. Yeah, where do we go from there? I'd like to see it go back up here to sort of $17,000–$18,000. Now, if you look at it here and you look at it against a phantom, which is what a lot of the phantom pairs are valued in phantom rather than in dollars, as it's a more accurate way of measuring its value, and it's really low right now. Now there is no 200 EMA because the coin hasn't actually existed long enough, so it's right up there still. But we're supporting off the 50. From there, you know, if Phantom moves, or if T-shares moves back to its Phantom high of 10,000, you're looking at 50% upside there, just to move from the current price to get up there. 56% upside. Now that's absolutely ridiculous. So the way that currently the Phantom ecosystem is working, the staking pool is paying about 35% of what it should actually be paying. So if we go to here, let's just go to Phantom, let's just connect the wallet. Right, so $16,200. We beat the billion today. We moved over $1 billion, and we are in here. So normally the APR in here would be around 600%, because if you're only printing at 35% at the moment, because we're repaying a debt from this number being lower. So once the debt is repaid, then this number will triple, and that oh, excuse me, I'm choking. Yeah, so when that number increases, then this is going to increase, so that the amount that you're paid will triple. Because that's tripled, the price excuse me the price of a T-share off this page has the potential, it won't triple, but it's got a really, really big upside. That's why we're currently 50% down. So, you know, you could add $8,000 onto that price there. And I'm going to leave it there. It's the first stream that I've ever done. Nobody's actually online watching it, so it was a test more than anything. Been talking now for just over 30 minutes, and I could go on all day, but nobody's here listening to me at the moment, so we'll see how it goes next time. Goodbye. Like, subscribe, comment, all those sort of things. If you want any more, then I'll try and aim to give you whatever it is that you want, rather than the random stuff that I've just discussed today. Try and add a little bit more structure to it. If you had any comments into it, then I will try to review those particular coins in whatever context it is that you would prefer me to go through. Hello. how's it going? This is the first time that I've done a live stream, so I don't particularly know what I'm doing. I'm just sort of just talking off the top of my mind. I went through quite a lot of these coins, explained it. Would you sell your T-shares? No, absolutely not. Right, so I'll go back through what I was talking about a second ago. So if you look at Phantom against a T-share, look at where the high was. So measure this gap between here and here. So there's a 56% upside potential. If Phantom, if a T-share is worth 56% more, then its dollar value going to this chart would go from the $16,000 that it's currently worth, and if you add 50% onto that, then you're going to go to 56%. Right, so a T-share in theory could go up to $25,000. Now, the catalyst for increasing to $25,000 would be when you're in the masonry right now. You see that the APR is only at 205%. Now, the reason it's at 205% is because we're still paying back. Now, this isn't an update graph, I need to refresh this page, but the amount of tomb in the treasury is less than the amount of debt. Right, so the masonry will print 65% less tomb, because 65% of all of the tomb that is printed each day goes into the treasury to pay back the debt, which is steadily reducing. So if I refresh this page, just take into account that's at 19 million currently, but this page is probably a couple of days old since I last refreshed it, so it takes quite a while to load. You can see that in a day we've printed 4.387 million, so call it 4.4 million essentially, provided that we remain above that green line there. So waiting for it to load. The debt numbers that we want are these two parameters down here. When they load back up again, then we'll see that the debt now is roughly 50% to go, if we had 19 million that was in there before. So when all of this debt is paid and this number is equal to this number when they turn up, yeah, so there we've got 12 million in there now. That was something like 4 million before. Just waiting for this number to appear. There you go, 10.9 million. So we've printed away 8 million, so 2 days or so's worth. Now this is the amount that's printed per day. 65% of that, so that's about 2.6 million, goes to pay this. So that means that there's roughly another 3 to 4 days to go to finish paying this off. When those 3 to 4 days have completed and this has all been paid off, then going back here, this number here will go to triple what its current value is. So if it's at 205, it's going to go up to 600 roughly. When this number goes up, the amount that you're being paid is going to increase, which means that people are going to go and buy tomb because it's now more valuable. Buy T-share because it's now more valuable because it's printing 3 times as much money as it was, 4 days before, i.e. today. So in answer to your question, no, it's not a very good time to sell them. Although they've gone up in value, they're going up in value because people are preempting this increase in value that's just around the corner. Knowledge is outstanding, thank you. I do like to talk, provided that there's somebody there who's willing to listen. I'll quite happily sit there and explain it all. Everything that I've learned is taught from speaking to people in the community. So on here, I regularly, if I'm watching something on the computer, I'll just have this up because it takes up a very small amount of my screen, and then you know, you can see that's why the window's not quite full screen. It's because that's where I tend to have it set up. Same with this, so I can look at graphs and have this up at the same time, and you know, I'll be asking questions, providing answers to people within the community. Yeah, I was born in Leeds, and I moved to a small town about an hour away from there when I was 3 or 4 years old. But all of my like relatives still live in Leeds, so I suppose I've got some of that accent. I don't live that far away. I live in Lincolnshire now, so I've still got an element of that accent that's sort of stayed with me. Right, what we're doing now, so Phantom, so it created a, where we go, our chart, right, so we pushed up, we're still above this resistance line here, this support line, so that's brilliant. However, we've got 9 minutes to go, and that's now creating what's referred to as a high test candle, which is where the body fills the bottom area and leaves a really big wick. That's where the buyers came in, pushed the price up, then the sellers came back in and pushed the price back down again. What's your thoughts on Wonderland? Yes, so if I go to here, I have a ridiculously long folder of things that I'm watching, and somewhere on this list there's Wonderland. So at the moment I would say I'm still in the phase where I'm researching it and trying to decide whether it's something that I actually want to invest into. So I don't necessarily have a opinion right now as to whether or not I would want to buy into that project. Why has that come up? Sorry, and I'm trying to find something on the other screen and it seems to have disappeared. Where was it? I think it's right, there we go, I've got it back again. Yeah, so Wonderland, I was looking at it from the perspective of, where was I looking at now? No, I can't remember, in all honesty. I have not spent enough time looking into this to decide whether or not it's something that I'd like to put my money into at the moment. However, it is something that is on my radar that I'm wanting to investigate, and the likelihood is that when Tomb's getting to the point where it's making enough money that I can justify pulling out, some of the profits from Tomb will be diversified into other projects, because that will sort of reduce. There are big things coming. You've got to get into Wonderland. Okay. Yeah. So, like I say, I haven't really researched it that much. Like I know Tomb pretty intimately. However, I haven't really spent much time investigating alternate avenues as to where I can put my money instead of in Tomb. I am getting to the point now where the Tomb pot is large enough that I would like to split some of it elsewhere to alleviate the worries of, you know, having all your eggs in one basket, and then if there was some sort of hack, you know, like the Grim hack that we had last week that caused the peg to go below 0.8 it was under, which absolutely fantastic time to buy. You know, if you had any Phantom that was just sat there, which I had a couple of hundred Phantom, so I got a pretty nice bag of Tomb, and I bought it at 0.8, which now I'm absolutely laughing. So if I go to the Phantom Tomb graph, you can see there that there is the moment that the hack happened, and people noticed. I noticed purely by accident, and I literally got on minutes after it happened and managed to buy. Like I say, I got in at about 80, so just off the bottom. So I made a 25% profit between there and there, where we are now. So if I bought in at 80, then there you go. Okay, so at the high, it was a 34% profit, which is fantastic. Yeah, I will definitely look into Wonderland. Don't go and put any money into this, but the thing that I've just spent my time doing is one called Hellhound Finance. Now, these percentage rates, so this only started on the 23rd, it started at 9 o'clock in the morning. 50% Tomb Wonderland. I got some T-shares the other day when the hack happened. Oh, brilliant. That was a fantastic time to buy T-shares, because they were super low. I'm not exactly sure what the day was when the hack happened, to be honest, but it was probably this one, I'd imagine. So if you were buying them anywhere around this sort of area, you know, I got a little bit around there. It wasn't a massive amount. It's nothing to sort of break the bank or anything, because I was worried that the next candle could have been red too, so I only bought a little bit around there. Same when I was buying the Phantom Tomb. Okay. Oh, why you do that? It's the moving average. Yeah, so I could have gone real big there, but I was unsure as to whether there was a reason why this candle was created that was something that should worry me, or whether I should just throw down and make some money. So I just put half of it in, and yeah, it paid off well. I could have put a lot more in, I could have made a lot more, but that's the whole risk reward scenario. Yeah, so 3 minutes to go, and we've still got that horrible high test candle, which certainly if you look at it on a 1 hour chart, if you look at it on a 4 hour chart, it's a really stonking green candle. So you can't be too upset with that. It's just on the smaller time frames, that isn't really the kind of formation I want to see, because if I was trading this, that's brilliant. It's really good to hear that the content that I've produced is actually beneficial to people. So the reason that I actually started making it in the first place was I explained to a couple of my friends how Tomb works and how to get into it, and then I came to the conclusion that it would actually be beneficial to, rather than repeatedly explaining the same thing over and over, just go and make a YouTube video and then just send them to that video, and then obviously other people get to partake in that same sharing of information. So it's really sort of helpful for me as well, because the YouTube channel, I don't know if you went back and watched any of the other content, but it was all sort of acrobatic and cinematic, first person view, quadcopter drone flying, before I got into making the educational videos about Tomb Finance. So it's one of them, whatever I'm passionate about, I'm quite happy to sit there and speak to people about it for hours and hours. If someone's enjoying the content, then I'll quite happily keep making more content. But right, so we've got 1 minute to go. That's a horrific, yeah, that's what I was saying. So seen all the Tomb videos, yeah, brilliant. Do you have any feedback, anything that you'd like to see different? rather than how I'd presented it. And I got a lot of feedback at the beginning where people were talking about the music being distracting and making it so it was difficult to actually hear what was going on. But that was actually an error on my part. The music was actually never supposed to be in the video. I didn't think about how loud the speakers were actually going to come across over the microphone, because to me it was just a little bit of background noise, but on the video it came across as pretty intrusive. Yeah, so if I was trading this, I would actually take a short position now, based off of this high test 1 hour candle here. I'd be looking to open a short position and then close it around about $2.30, so making about 4 pence per position. But if you were leveraged, then you could make yourself quite a lot of money. I'd put a stop loss up here just above this high test candle, and like I said, I'd be taking profit. The distance between the top and the bottom of this candle, I'd take the profit that same distance down here, so around about $2.31, which sort of makes sense because it's just above where we're going to bump into all this resistance here. You can see this red candle starting to form now, so potentially that could be a fruitful endeavour. What I'll do is I will drop a line in there, and then change the colour of it not to that colour because that's absolutely horrible. There, and then I'll review that and I'll see what would have happened had I have taken that as a short position, and then, you know, that's sort of how back testing works. I'm not actually going to place a trade. I'm just going to theorize, if I had have taken that trade based off of the logic that I described, would it have actually been beneficial, and would it have pulled off, or would it have gone up here and hit my stop loss? And then in the future I can use that same logic and try to decide whether or not I want to take a similar trade in the future, because it's just essentially a statistics game. Eventually, there you go, it's moving down, so we'd already be halfway to hitting this take profit. Although you see that there, that came down and it perfectly supported off of this red line here. So yeah, technical analysis is a beautiful thing. One of the things that I was saying earlier was, as I was flicking back through these charts, there were some of the ones that I'd not looked at for a while, and I went to, let me do it on this one just so I don't disturb that. If I went to this chart here, and you can see where I'd drawn in, that don't look right, could have sworn there was more lines than that, but either way, drawn in this line here coming down, and you could see the sell pressure, and then it broke through this trend, and it made a new or a higher high than the previous cycle. It went to go and test this area here, came down, tested, and then straight up. It was a perfect example of well executed technical analysis, and it's really nice to look back through at the times where it did pull off, and then look back through, and sometimes you find where it didn't pull off, because it's nice to see the failures as well as the successes. There's no point purely seeing successes, because you're never going to learn anything from that, and then potentially that's going to cause you to increase your leverage, increase your position sizes, and then when you finally do realise a loss, it'll be devastating, and you potentially could wipe absolutely everything. So really you should only be risking 1 or 2% of your account size on each trade as a general rule of thumb. Now crypto's a little bit different than that, and I don't actually play it like that. I'm talking more from a foreign exchange background. If I was to be trading currency pairs, then that would be how I would how I'd be playing it. Maybe do a quick video on the Tomb Tuesday news. Night night, Ebs. Do a quick video on the Tomb Tuesday news. A lot of people cannot be bothered to do the legwork. Yep. Harry always gives the heads up on what's happening on the ecosystem on the Tuesday night. Yeah. So that's the pin post up here. So yeah, I could go through that and do a sort of weekly update on not just what he said, but going through all of the other resources that I regularly monitor. So obviously you've got all the information on here. You can look at things like total value locked, things that aren't necessarily included on this page here. You can go through the things that I've discussed with, like, we're printing less, therefore I believe this value is actually going to increase in the future, which obviously will increase that value as well. You know, you can go through all of the graphs on here, you can go through all of the information on there. You've got other resources, for example, DeFi Llama. This is one that I like to look at quite regularly. So you can see that dip that we had there was when the market was massively in pain. We're now getting back to the point where we are creating a higher high, or are about to create a higher high, with regard to total value locked in all DeFi. So this isn't Tomb, but if you scroll down the list, so weeks back, and not too many weeks back, we were in the top 100. We've now moved into the top 50, so we're moving quickly. And you know, if we can double from here, where we're going to go to. So if we can get up to the 2 billion mark, we're going to be in the top 25. So just imagine being up there, like how much difference that makes, because that turns you into a reputable project rather than just some random trash that's down here. There's another one. There's another one that I quite like. It's got some funky music, like 8-bit or 16-bit music, whatever the like, you know, gaming music sort of thing. It's good. But yeah, the ones down here, people take less seriously than the ones that are higher up the list. So like your big investors and your people who are scared of DeFi, they're more likely to pick the ones that are higher up the list. So the further up we can get, the more reputable we get, the bigger our TVL can actually grow to. You know, then we can start looking at trying to tackle some of these top 20 projects. We've done a fantastic job. Ignore this one. This one practically shouldn't exist. But we're fighting. Look at that. We're neck and neck with Spooky Swap. So we're basically joint first position right now with Spooky Swap. And look at that, for a ridiculous amount of upward leg. And this has all been going on while Bitcoin's been shitting its pants. So that's absolutely brilliant. I mean, Coinbase listing will make a difference on the Phantom price. Yes, based off of speaking to other people, some people only use Coinbase, so they haven't had the ability to actually purchase Phantom. Some of them want to purchase Phantom. Even speaking to people who are in this group on the Telegram page, 6,900 members, there are people in there who are excited about the Coinbase listing, because it means that they've got another place where they can go to purchase it. So we have problems when the Binance Phantom network isn't allowing you to send tokens, more than likely because they don't actually own enough tokens to be able to be sending them off the network. So you never really own your own tokens, sort of thing. So having another place where you can buy the Phantom and then move the Phantom is really useful. It's another place to create some liquidity, which will be fantastic for sort of steadying the price. But yeah, I feel like the Coinbase listing, it can't be a negative. So the likelihood is it is probably going to be positive. I'm more excited about the Felix coin, because the implications of people going and burning Tomb for places on Phantom Pad in order to get access to these coins that are launching. If you ever do initial coin offerings or IDOs where you get the first opportunity to buy them, you can make 100x on some of these coins. It's absolutely ridiculous. So everybody who's involved in Phantom will be using that service. They will be burning their Tomb, which will make the price go up, and then anyone who actually partakes in it, who gets one of these initial coin offering positions, one of the seats, is going to make a hell of a lot of money. And if you've done it all out of profit that you've made from Tomb in the first place, you've got nothing to lose. Don't really know what more to say now. I've kind of gone through all of the rantings that I sort of wanted to discuss. Let's go have another look at. Yeah, okay. You see, it's getting there, down to this light blue line here. So potentially it comes down there, or this line here is doing a really good job of supporting it still. So it's one of them. It right now, I would not put my money on either direction, because that candle there makes me feel like it's going to go down. Working, please do check it out. Yeah, I will definitely have a look at Wonderland and start doing some research into that, because it's definitely going to make sense to well, especially if it's going to do a Phantom and double in the next month, then brilliant. If it's sort of linked without being the same thing, then also brilliant, because that means that they are sort of related to other people who are doing a fantastic job of actually bringing investors into the space where everybody is working. We're getting good projects, we're getting good developers, and we seem to be getting good investors as well. So that's something that I meant to look at. So looking at the perspective of caps, 80,000% APYs, yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. It's hard to say no to. This is one of the reasons why we were in here when it first started up, because that's not an APY, that's an APR. That's paying 40% per day, which is just absolutely ridiculous, unheard of. This was over 100% on the first day, because so few people had bought into it, and still so